Battery Bill. Battery Bill. For cameras, computers, cars, or scooters. For trucks, boats, jet skis, remotes. Battery Bill. Battery Bill.
Hey, welcome to ESPN Fan Friday Talk Story. It's an Aloha Friday. What's great about getting to do this, obviously, is we get to meet and know a little bit more some of our guests here that are part of the sports landscape. And one of the new, I don't know if we want to say new anymore, but kind of a rising star personality, if you will, here with ESPN Honolulu, a former University of Hawaii quarterback on the football program. Started doing some high school radio broadcasts for ESPN Radio. Then next thing you know, he's got 2 podcasts and now doing the sideline reporting at all University of Hawaii football home game broadcasts. I'm talking about our guest today, Hunter Hughes. And Hunter, hey, thanks for taking some time out of that enormously busy schedule I just elaborated to everybody.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me, man. My pleasure.
You know, before we kind of get into all the stuff you're doing, one of the things I like to kind of find out is kind of like what brought you to Hawaii? Like, where were you, your hometown? Give us a little bit of nugget about that. And what kind of led you to eventually come to Honolulu?
Yeah, I'm originally from Lake Zurich, Illinois, about 45 minutes northwest of Chicago, and came out here to be a part of a nonprofit called Youth with a Mission. And so was a part of that nonprofit for a few years and got in-state tuition. That was a big part of my story, was living and working out here and gaining that in-state tuition, which was always an easier sell with my folks of I'm not just over here killing time and surfing. That kind of had a plan. And my plan was actually to walk on the baseball team. My entire upbringing was, 100, sometimes 120 baseball games a summer. And I played shortstop all the way up. That was my main sport. And had a great tryout for Coach Trapasso, but I didn't make it. I got cut, and was like, okay, I guess I'm going to be a student. And a friend dared me one day. We were at Sandy's Beach, and we were throwing the football around. And he's like, hey, you got an arm. You should try out for football. And I was like, get out of here, man. I think at the time I was 5'11", like 165. Like I was so skinny. And he's like, well, you got nothing to lose. And it kind of stuck in my head. I was like, yeah, I got nothing to lose. And I started getting these dreams that I had made the team. And so I was like, I don't know what is going on here, but I'm just going to go, and I don't know any better. So I walked into Norm Chow's office. I shook his hand and said, Coach, you looking for a walk-on quarterback? I'm interested in playing. He said, well, walk-on tryouts are in a few weeks. And if you can run a sub 5-second 40, and if we like your arm, we'll give you a shot. And I made the team. I had never played quarterback before, to be completely honest. And I walked on at a Division I school. So it's kind of a crazy story. Additionally, how I got started with ESPN Radio is a crazy story as well. I was riding home from a football game and listened to Gary Dickman with the fans' voice, people calling in talking about the game. And they're talking crap about my team. And so I never heard that before as a player. You don't, really listen to the radio after the game. And after a couple of weeks, I was fed up with it enough that I called into the radio to defend my teammates. And one thing led to another, Dave, where they started patching me through. And then Matt Apana, our general manager, said, hey, stay on the line. Would you like to call some high school games? And here we are today. So it's been a ride, man.
Did you ever go over to the baseball offices at University of Hawaii after you had made the football team, right? You got cut from trying to walk on at baseball, which was your first love, most experience, and then here you go and you walk on to a Division I football program. Did you ever go over to the football office, or at least walk by Les Murakami and just kind of go, anything of that nature? Like, your lot.
I've been told I've been a little stubborn in the past, and so I thought, hey, what the heck? Maybe that'll help my stock on the baseball field. So I tried out another 3 times in total, and got cut 3 times from that baseball team.
Oh, ouch!
Yeah, it's all good.
So how many seasons did you play at UH?
I played 4 seasons, 2 under Norm Chow and then 2 under Nick Rolovich.
Tell me a little bit about, I can't imagine the learning curve. You said you didn't play high school football. So the learning curve, like even a good high school athlete coming into the collegiate level, much less a Division I collegiate level, they always talk about that's a significant jump in speed and the cerebral elements of it, all of it. How was the learning curve for you?
Yeah, it was massive. I will say I was a little bit different from any other true freshman coming in that I was already 22, 23 years old by the time I was walking on. So I carried myself with a little bit different level of maturity than, an 18, 19-year-old kid. I traveled all over the world. So I carried myself with a little bit different attitude than the other freshmen on the team. And so with that, I really took up a listen first, speak second, just kind of morale, and watched everybody else go in front of me. Thankfully, as a walk-on quarterback, you take the 4th reps. In the spring, it was Taylor Graham, Ikaika Woosley, Jeremy Higgins, and Hunter Hughes, my first spring. And so I just watched what those guys did. I practiced my drop in my dorm room, so no one, I was deathly afraid of being found out that I'd never done it before. So I would practice my drop in my dorm room to get my feet right. And then Taylor Graham was a phenomenal teacher as well. I asked him a lot of questions, really great guy, became a great friend during that time. And I learned the art of keeping my mouth shut and not putting my foot in my mouth. So give it time, though. I'll put my foot in my mouth with this gig one way or another.
Yeah, well, welcome to this world, right? When you talk for a good part of your life and you get paid for it, there's a moment where it just comes right back at you.
Right.
I'm curious. Okay, so what did you have to do on your tryout for football? Like, what were the things, and how long did it take?
Yeah, so they usually run tryouts similar to a pro day, where they have you run 40-yard dash, they have you do a shuttle, 3-cone drill. Back in the Norm Chow era, they had their strength and conditioning coach, Gary Beamer. He ran the tryouts, and the entire team came out to watch tryouts because Coach Beamer would conduct it in, I'm trying to think of another word besides torture, but they basically ran anybody who tried to walk on the team. They wanted to try to break your will. And so they had us running gassers, which for those listening at home are 50-yard sprints across the width of the field for time. And they would only give you maybe about 30 seconds between each sprint to catch your breath. And I think we did like 15 of those, which is anything over like 7 or 8 is a lot. So twice that. And then, there was one time we were holding a push-up position for like 5 minutes, and he's going up and down the line, yelling in our ear, you want to make this team? Do you have what it takes? So it was, by the end of it, I think we started out with maybe like 30 or 40 guys, and it dwindled down to about 16 or 17. Literally, guys left the field. They're like, I'm done with this. And so, that was kind of it. But then you did have position drills as well, where you were able to show what you were able to do, and I've always been able to throw it a little bit. So it was cool.
I gotta wonder now. You said you were an older freshman, so you're like 22 years old, right? Your first, right. And then here you are, and there's these 18-year-old young whippersnappers who probably played a lot of football. They're maybe prep all-stars from wherever they came from, and they're gonna give you some gas, right? You're a freshman, yet they might be a 20-year-old sophomore, yet they can give you some heat. That you must have had. That takes a lot of pride, sucking in rather, to just kind of not want to just slap them. Like I have way more life skills than you little punk. But you kind of have to just take it, right, as part of the culture of being the new guy on the team.
Well, it was a little bit of that, but then also culturally speaking, in the locker room, I understood how not Hawaiian and not Polynesian I was. And in order to make friends and get far in that environment, really just the environment in Hawaii, you have to listen first, speak second. You have to take on the posture of a learner. And so that was kind of my thought. And then on top of that, my heart was obviously not to go in there and win a starting job. However, that would be an unbelievable accomplishment. My goal was to make an impact on the team. I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination how important my faith is to my life. And I was just trying to make an impact with the guys in the locker room, and felt like that was my intention and my mission, if you will, just to make an impact in people's lives. So it was kind of a different agenda, if you will. And so that kind of put everything into perspective.
And I think, especially with the day and age of what we're seeing now in collegiate athletics and student athletes with transfer portals and people, I mean, a starter doesn't even stay sometimes at a school for their 4-year career. But here you are, you stuck it out, knowing that, like you said, your agenda wasn't to become, although it'd be great if you became a starter, but the realism is that, the chances of that were slim, but you stuck it out for all those practices, the spring, the training, and doing all you needed to do, sweat and pain. I mean, I got to commend you even just for that element, because not too many people will do that anymore.
No, I appreciate that, Dave. I've actually got a lot of thoughts on that subject with the current climate, not just with players, but with coaches. You look at what happened with Chip Kelly. What's his name? The guy from Notre Dame that went down to LSU.
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He left Notre Dame when they were in college football playoff contention for greener pasture down in LSU. What kind of example does that set to a college football player who's just looking for an opportunity to play somewhere else? So it's just kind of the nature of the beast. And I actually don't agree with it, because everyone thinks they're going to go to the next level. And generally speaking, here at University of Hawaii, it's just not the case. We're very lucky to get 1, maybe 2 guys actually drafted every year. And then the rest of the guys are fighting for a roster position. I'm speaking more just with football, fighting for a roster position through the free agency portal. So it's hard for me whenever guys come in with such big heads, because it's not going to do them well later in life whenever, something happens and you just jump at any sign of trouble. It's really not going to serve you well in life. So I don't know if this climate is all that advantageous for our athletes.
The one thing, though, and I guess maybe that benefits and it for the student athletes, like you mentioned about the coaches, and that was kind of the argument, right? People will poo-poo, these transfer portal, these kids are just transferring left and right and they just go wherever they want. But then coaches have been doing that since the beginning of time. If there's a bigger and better deal someplace, they'll leave for the bigger salary or the higher profile program. And then the student athlete who is recruited by that coach is stuck at that school that they were at. And when the new coaches come, sometimes it's a different system. And especially at quarterback, if you're a drop back passer recruited for that skill set and suddenly an option quarterback coach comes in, you're screwed. Either you got to learn and adapt, or you're going to be second and third string when you were the starter. But now they can at least have that flexibility to move. So in that light, I would say at least there's some benefit for the student athlete on those kind of situations.
Yeah, it's different from situation to situation. I never want to be one to just generalize it. Because you're exactly right. We had another situation. Keith Kirkwood was a teammate of mine under the Norm Chow era, and his grandma became gravely ill, and he was able to transfer to Temple under the veil of being closer to his family because of an emergency. And so everybody's situation is different, and UH is no stranger to that. With everything that we've experienced the last couple of years, I don't think Chevin Cordero would have left if he would have known Timmy Chang would have been his new coach. But had Chevin not left, I don't think Graham would have left either. So it's just it's a wild kind of new era of college football or college athletics in general.
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of just athletics in general, now here's the thing, right? So we're talking football. You also co-host with Jordan Helly on this platform, the Hawaii Football Now podcast, which is awesome. So that's digging into football. You got to now be the host of a new podcast called the Shakas and Swings. So it's about golf. I had no idea. We just talked about how your baseball was your first love. You tried to try out walk on with baseball. You walked on as a quarterback without playing any high school. But you're a darn good golfer. When did that skill set start to develop with you?
Well, thank you, Dave. Golf, sports in general, my first word on this earth was ball. Okay, so anything with competition, with putting something, in a hole and a goal, I'm about that. And a big part of my story was I didn't hit my growth until later in my life. I started my freshman year in high school at 4'11", and so
wow.
Yeah. And my dad is 6'5", and so that was a big part of my journey was not being able to play something like football at that age just because of my size. But golf has always been a very near and dear sport to my family. I've got two younger brothers along with my dad, so we always have a foursome. Whenever I wasn't playing baseball, golf was always on the TV. Been watching Tiger since I can even remember. Big part of our life. Masters Sunday is like another holiday for us. It's kind of interesting. Once football ended, I turned a lot of my competitive focus out here in Hawaii towards golf, and had a couple of deep runs in the Manoa Cup, which is the Hawaii State Amateur match play event, and I made it to the Final Four in 2018, which is super fun. And Dave, since 2020, since COVID, 6 million new golfers have taken up the game in the United States alone. And so it's kind of one of those new things that people are trying to get their feet wet in. A lot of my former teammates are picking up the game of golf. And so a lot like surfing, it's more about being in the water with people than actually being good. I love just being in the golf cart with people, having great conversations, talking life, talking leadership, what pushes them forward in their craft, if you will. So we have musicians on there. We have people in the community. My buddy Tamua, my teammate, and now professional comedian's been on the show. It's just an excuse to get on the links, have some fun, and have some laughs.
And that's Shakas and Swings. So two podcasts, the Shakas and Swings. Funny story, as you mentioned, 2020, 6 million, did you say, new golfers have entered the game? So I've always called myself a therapeutic golfer.
Nice.
And that basically means that I suck, because anyone who golfs with me, they will feel so much better about their game, their life, and their career. Just because, I'll just naturally make them feel so much better. But in 2020, prior to the pandemic hitting, I had made my New Year's resolution that, you know what, doggone it, I'm going to dedicate some time and try and get better. And I said, at least once a week, and I'm just, I would just go and hack, but once a week, I'm going to either go to the driving range or go to the park and hit some of the wiffle balls. But I made a concerted effort to say in 2020, I was going to try and get better. And then the pandemic hit and all the courses are closed. But I still try and do it. I got to pick it up. But I'm still dedicated to improving myself so that I'll still be a therapeutic golfer, but I can at least play fast or something,
You're tapping on something that I love golf for, in that it provides a source of therapy for me. It's very therapeutical, being out there, swinging, being kind of just in my own mind, blocking out the world, and just endlessly hitting golf balls. It's a very freeing activity for me, and we need to get on the link sometime, Dave. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it's very freeing with me because my mouth becomes suddenly free of profanities every time I play. So it's I love it. I love but I'm continuing on my New Year's resolution. It's carried on into now year 3 of that, so I'm still onward bound. Let's go back a little, circle back to football a little bit. So obviously your other podcast with Jordan Helly, Hawaii Football Now, you have now started your first season as the sideline reporter for the radio broadcast with the Veneri brothers in the booth. You're on the sideline. And this has been, obviously not even halfway through, but an interesting season for University of Hawaii football with the transition, the new coaching staff with Timmy Chang, and I think, tell me the impact as I try to articulate this. And people say, oh, well, it's such a disappointing start of the season. They're only 1-4, blah, blah, blah. 53 new players on a team. That turnover is enormous. As a former player and having gone through a coaching change yourself when you were playing, and obviously some turnover in personnel, but the impact of that, just that alone, 53 new players, how does that really contribute to any development of a team?
Oh, it's humongous. I have equated what we're going through right now from the Graham era into the Timmy Chang era, very similar to what me and my teammates went through from the Norm Chow era into the Nick Rolovich era. However, with one exception, all of the starters, all of the studs, the guys that we could count on, the senior leadership in the locker room, carried over from the Norm Chow era into the Rolovich era. The majority of those guys from the Graham era now into the Timmy Chang era said adios. We've lost all of the backbone and the foundation of our team. So it's not just that Timmy Chang is asked to create a brand new culture, which he has, and I feel like he's done a fantastic job doing that in this offseason. I don't know if there's ever been more preseason hype over a team than right now. But then you're having to corral 53 new guys with a brand new coaching staff. Those guys are figuring out how to live and work in an environment together. It's a humongous task. It's so easy for those of us on this side of things to watch and just say, you should be winning football games. You should be getting in the end zone. You should be stopping them on defense. Well, when all of the things have happened for us in the last 6 to 8 months, it's not an environment conducive for winning. It's just not. It's been an environment with a lot of lemons, and these coaches, mainly Coach Timmy Chang, have been asked to try to make lemonade out of the situation. So it's extremely difficult.
Yeah, and I don't think people, the common fan, really comprehends until you've experienced, you got to be part of a team. You have to have played sport to realize how, when you have that kind of different personalities going in and out, not to mention the talent level that left. We hear about Darius Mursal at UCLA, Chevin Cordero at San Jose State, all these guys doing well at the new schools.
Caddy.
Yeah, and to think they were just playing here last year. So, I mean, that's a huge loss. But like all of us, you stay on the course. It's going to be a process, and if people are patient enough, we'll see the fruits of the labor, and the fruit might be lemonade. Who knows? But it's something you got to stick with.
And when you look at, sorry to interrupt you, Dave. If you look at our schedule so far, we've been talking about it. Me and the Veneri brothers, me and Jordan Helly on our show. This season is really a tell of 2 seasons. Before conference and then conference play. When you look at who we've played in non-conference play, we had Vanderbilt, that's an SEC school, Western Kentucky, which is a phenomenal group of 5 school, and then you had Michigan in there too. And then you throw in Duquesne and then New Mexico State. But Michigan's in contention for another national championship this year. So it kind of puts things into a little bit of perspective of, hey, let's take a deep breath. We're not going to the Sugar Bowl again this year, guys. It's not 2007 all over again, and that's okay. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. We were this close from a class action lawsuit last year potentially even losing the football program with how badly things got, there's a lot of positive things still to take from the University of Hawaii football team right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, did you try out or think about trying out for the golf team?
I had a conversation with the coach, showed him a couple scorecards, and he didn't give me the time of day. But it's really no big deal. It's no big deal, Dave.
What? Do we need to mention that those coaches of those respective sports are no longer there? But that's a side note. That's a side note. We'll save for another conversation. Okay, so you're busy. Hunter, you are a busy guy. So free time, when you have it, what is Hunter Hughes doing?
When I am free, I am neck deep in my own brand, actually. I've created a brand during COVID called All Around Athlete. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on all the social media platforms. And I was an art student at University of Hawaii. And so my whole life, I have tried to balance this one side of my life that is completely sports and athletics and that world. And then I have this world of creativity and art. Now, they don't always mesh, but it's always been my story on how to bring those two together. So I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, developing a little cartoon as we speak. It's something really fun, and to my knowledge, no one's done it before. So it's a pursuit worthy of going after.
Oh, how long have you been working on that? You said started from the pandemic?
Yeah, I've been working on it for the last 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, it's been fun.
Awesome. And when? Can you give us a little tease? Like, do you see when that time frame where the first release or the first glimpse of your project will be presented? Anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys went over to YouTube, you would see a lot of the videos that we've already put out. A lot of them were just in the form of how-to videos, making sports easier for kids. And then I used animated characters in that to help tell the stories. I've just recently, in the last couple of months, refined where I want the brand to head. And so I'm kind of in the development stage of that right now. But you'll be the first to know, Dave. Maybe we'll do a reveal on your show.
All right. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here, folks. Okay. This is a perfect question for a guy like you with multiple talents, right? So artist, golf, baseball, football. If you had Aladdin's lamp and that genie said, Hunter, you can pick just one of those to be the ultimate highest level, the highest, one of the top professional golfers on the PGA or LIV, I'd say PGA, in the NFL, one of the top QBs and so forth. Same thing with baseball. And for art, you'd be one of the most popular, artists in terms of that format. Which one would you pick?
Golf, hands down.
Why?
There is nothing to me like winning the Masters. It's the highest achievement in all of sports in my mind. There's nothing like the green jacket. Augusta National is the closest thing that we're going to get to heaven on earth, in my opinion. When Tiger won in 2019, I cried like a baby. I literally went on a walk just to rethink my life and ask myself if I was giving everything to pursuing my dreams, because Tiger winning in 2019 was a miracle and a feat of human accomplishment and perseverance and never giving up. And so it's a great question, Dave. I ask myself that all the time, but I'd have to say winning the Masters is the number one for me.
All right, then. So you're the top pro golfer. You have your pick of all your sponsors, all your gear. What type of clubs are you using?
Ooh, well, my boy Trevor Nishiyama is the TaylorMade guy out here in Hawaii, so I'd have to tip my cap to him. But I've always liked pink clubs, if I'm being completely honest. So maybe a little bit of both. Who knows? But I'm using my trusty old Cleveland putter that I've had for a long time. No one's touching that.
What type of ball?
Probably the TP5, the TaylorMade. That thing goes farther. I swear it goes 5 yards farther.
Okay. Okay. Anything I need, I'm going to use it. What about the attire? Who's going to be the sponsor for Hunter Hughes for the hat, the shirt, the look?
I've never told anyone this. I've always thought it would be cool for a golfer to wear a number because they're playing a sport. Why not wear, so if I ever made it on, a PGA Tour event, I would make some sort of a custom golf shirt that had the number 12 on my back because, hey, no one had 12. So I took it.
So 12 on the back. All right.
That's right.
And then final thing, who would be your caddy?
If he was able to walk the whole way, I'd probably have my dad in the bag.
Oh, wow. Talk about the ultimate. And then, of course, your brothers could be the backup.
That's right. Yeah. If he can't make it, then one of my brothers, that would be awesome. Just someone to keep me light and we could make fun of the guy I'm playing with. That's I had Tamua on the bag a couple years ago, and that was a lot of fun. So
I can imagine.
Yeah.
He could have a line for all 18 holes, right? There's some different line in every 18 holes. Hey, this has been really fun because I've never had a chance to talk to someone that has so many talents that have really just, taken the opportunity. And I think it's an inspiration for someone like you to tell young people, like, if you want to do something, go ahead and do it. I mean, you don't have to have all this, previous experience and stuff. If you feel like you want to try it. And I'm glad we had a chance to chat. And thank you for taking the time to be a part of this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dave. Looking forward to the next time, man. We got to get on the golf course together sometime. Yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm going to make you feel really great about yourself. But also, you want to check the podcast, the Shakas Swings, as well as Hawaii Football Now, and also listening to you on the sideline with the Venere brothers for every home broadcast of University of Hawaii football. Hey, Hunter, thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Aloha. Thanks, Dave.
All right.